What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show, and we have got a whole lot to talk about today. Bitcoin is dropping. It is back below 70,000, just as we predicted it would be just over the last couple of days. But the biggest stories of the day aren't actually about Bitcoin, even though we will discuss that. It's about two new filings for ETFs that have happened this week. New crypto ETFs coming for potentially both Solana and XRP. What does this mean for the price of both assets? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Back to the Bitcoin front, Argentina making some big moves to continue to adopt Bitcoin into their country. Are we seeing this global trend continue? Make sure you stick around for the entire episode. It's going to be a blast, but you got to make sure to smash the like button. Hit subscribe. First, we got to roll the intro. Mr. T. Shroom, how are you doing today, my friend?
Tim, you know what? I'm doing better than I deserve. I really am. And I know that my background's blue, but I'm not feeling blue at all. I'm feeling great, Tim. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Notice I'm not wearing a hat, though. Bitcoin back below $70,000, right? So who knows? If we get some sort of a major spike during the show, maybe the hat comes back. But for now, back below 70K, no hat. I don't want to keep that up as a normal thing, though. Eventually, we're going to get above the 70K. We're going to stay there. That doesn't mean I'm going to wear a hat forever and always. I'll just wear it around the times we're close to 70K. That being said, Turbo did say here in chat, Tim, I heard Paul Barron say you're going on his show next week. I am. So on the 5th, I'm making a lot of plans here around election season. In case you guys didn't know, the election happens next week. We have been talking about this for months. I cannot wait to stop talking about it. But as it's coming to a close, we're going to be going out with a bang. We'll definitely be continuing to monitor what's happening here on this channel, even though it's not about just the election in general. It's more about how the election affects different markets, especially the crypto market. But I'll be going on with Paul Barron the night of the 5th, right? So we'll kind of do a pre-election show, market show. I don't know the other guests are going to be on there, but I always love being on with Paul. So make sure to check out his channel. I will be there. Then I think the following day or maybe the day after that, I will be doing anyone who's here from Stock Up with Larry Jones. Larry and I will also be doing some content about some price predictions over on his channel as well. Of course, we do price predictions here, but you're not going to want to miss that content with Larry. So a lot of election season content coming out, not even just on our channel, but other channels as well. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure to go and support all of our friends, other influencers here in the space. T-Shirt, anything you want to say before we jump into some bubbles and then get into the top stories?
Oh, man, we got some interesting things cooking here in the Investing Bros behind the scenes. Some of the bros know about it, but you all make sure that you hit the subscribe button to stay tuned with what we've got coming because it is pretty clutch. It's going to knock some socks off. But, yeah, let's go ahead and check out those bubbles, Tim.
Well, we're going to go and look. It's funny, T-Shirt. One of the stories, I wasn't aware of this until you brought it up here as we were doing show prep. But look at that. IMX is our big loser. It's a mixed day, some green, some red. But the one that pops off the chart right there, IMX down 13.6%. We're going to talk more about this, but it has to do with good old Gary Gensler and the SEC, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it is down so far. We're going to talk about that later in the show, so stick around for that. Some other noticeable coins. Technically, we got Cardano is to the upside this afternoon, 3.3%. Ray is 3.7. PLS down here, 4.6. Hex, 4.1. You got some big losers like WIF, is down 6.7. Pith down 6.7. TIA 5.9, excuse me. So kind of a mixed bag here as the markets are shaking up. It's now time to go ahead and get in the stories. And normally we dive into Bitcoin to start off. We are going to talk about Bitcoin. We are going to do the Bitcoin charts, but there's actually stories that are even bigger today. So bear with us, changing up the schedule. We're going to jump into some Solana discussion first. T-Shroom, what's going on with these ETF filings?
Let's get it. Canary Capital officially files for a spot Solana ETF. That's Watcher.Guru reporting. And this is not where it ends for Solana. More bullish news here. This is big. Solana sees 173 million funding surge in Q3 amid rising institutional interest from PayPal, Visa, Franklin Templeton. Institutional interest in the institutional bull cycle. Some good synergies there for Solana that are brewing. This 54% quarter-over-quarter increase represents the highest quarterly funding total since Q2 of 2022, highlighting investor confidence in Solana's infrastructure, DeFi solutions, Masari right. So very big, very bullish. Man, quite an allocation. I've got some thoughts on this, Tim, but just how bullish is it?
Well, I want to make sure we temper expectations about how short-term bullish it'll be.
Yeah.
Obviously, back in January when Bitcoin had the first ever crypto spot ETF, we saw Bitcoin price. Actually, I say this, it shot to the upside, crashed 20%, and then shot to brand new highs earlier than we've ever seen Bitcoin do, right? So Bitcoin ETF, extremely explosive, even right out the gate. Then we had the Ethereum ETF, and I don't remember the exact month, but it was sometime there in the summer. I don't know if I remember if it was June or July, but we had the Ethereum ETF, and Ethereum actually ended up underperforming and dropping to the downside. So there's no magic spell here, T-Shroom, that says the minute that a coin gets an ETF, it's a sure thing that the price will just skyrocket. So I want to make sure we temper people's expectations to saying, all right, when it happens, if it happens in the middle of the bull market, the reason Solana price is going to go up is because we're in the middle of a bull market. If it happens during a lull, don't be surprised if things lull, because these ETFs are not so much about immediate reaction to price. It's so much more about the long-term ability to purchase and get access to this coin. This is going to be amazing news for Solana in the long term, as this will encourage more institutional adoption. People who maybe don't want to use a centralized exchange or something like that to be purchasing these coins and then self-custody, they'd be much more comfortable just going to their regular broker, buying a stock, and that would be an ETF for Solana. So that's my temperament at the moment. But long-term, meaning the next couple of years, this is extremely bullish. And something else to think about Solana, there had been rumblings about Solana ETFs before, T-Shroom. Months ago, BlackRock was even one that filed one, but they did remove their filing, right? So I think both BlackRock and Fidelity had Solana ETF filed, or they were wanting to go after them. They removed it, right in a lot of mess with some stuff that Gary and the SEC was doing. But now that this is what's I was about to say ARK Invest, but it's 21.
Canary Capital is the one doing
Capital.
the Solana ETF. That's right.
All right, so I'm thinking about the other one for XRP. This is another leg in the right direction. I cannot wait to hear when BlackRock and Fidelity are back. This would be amazing news for the Solana community. I say all that to say when it's approved, it might not be bullish. Just the news of it, though, news was good for Ethereum. The news of Bitcoin obviously was very, very good. So when it becomes official that we see BlackRock and Fidelity back in the running, that's when I think you see a short-term boost in Solana. Maybe it coincidentally spikes right there around alt season at the end of December or early January. Yeah,
so my take on this is I'm glad that you brought up BlackRock and all the big players, because this is not a big player, Canary Capital, right? You may know a lot more about them than I do, but the fact of the matter is this is not BlackRock. This is not Fidelity. What this is I think this is like kind of the proliferation, like the smaller guys coming in and saying, okay, we've seen the massive success that BlackRock and Fidelity have had with these Bitcoin ETFs. Ethereum ETFs is going to be competitive too. What if we start going further out into the risk curve in crypto? And so I don't know that we'll see BlackRock and Fidelity really enter the long tail crypto space. They'll probably stay focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that gives a lot of market share down the risk curve for Solana, AVAX, Chainlink, maybe even Cardano, right? Of course, that'd be a little more controversial, but I think that these smaller ETF issuers are going to have a heyday when the regulatory clarity really comes in. Could that even be here in just a couple of days? Could Trump getting elected be a de facto full regulatory clarity for crypto? My other take here is that this is a contrast from Cardano. Solana has been very, very strong to begin this year, right? We see that on the charts, and we also have seen that in the news. But Solana's been somewhat quiet now over the last 2 months, I'd say, right? Because of Sui. Sui has absolutely taken the spotlight. There's been some other coins that have had some nice moments as well. H&T comes to mind, Helium, right? But Solana is showing again that they know how to play their cards really well in this market by being okay with a bit of PR silence, being okay with being out of the news cycle in crypto for a period of time, because they know that as soon as that news cycle dwindles down, and now we're seeing that with Sui, not as many people talking about it, right? Now Solana is playing their card. Hey, look at all this funding we just got. Hey, we've got ETF, legitimate filing submissions going to the SEC. They know when to play and how to play. They are increasingly becoming masters of the crypto game when it comes to communication with investors. So just wanted to highlight that point. Let's take a look at the charts as well.
Well, before I move to the charts, we're going to take a look at Solana chart here in a second. I will say that concept you even brought up there, the wrestling with Sui, get ready for it to continue throughout the entire bull market. This is a fun festivity that always comes up with crypto bull markets. The killers come out. And what I mean by that is what's going to be the Bitcoin killer, and what's going to be the Ethereum killer, and what's going to be now the Solana killer. And can we not appreciate that two coins can do very, very well and mimic each other's success? Like, I think this whole narrative that Sui is coming up, some people are calling it a Solana killer. It's not a Solana killer. It's a Solana copycat is the best way to actually describe it. Solana can do very, very well, and Sui can do very, very well, and they can both ascend together because guess what? We are still early to crypto adoption. Maybe in a couple of years, there's only enough room for one of those types of projects to stick around into the top groupings of cryptocurrency. But for now, as early as we are, and with the now kind of rumblings of institutional adoption coming in stronger and stronger, it's going to be more like, hey, watch Sui look a lot like Solana, and that's a compliment because Solana is doing very, very well. That's how we kind of look at it right now. Eric Wallen said it's not a copycat. Sui has more, or he says move, but I'm going to assume that that's supposed to be an R. More. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Well, guess what? Both are going to do well. You should invest in both of them. Let's get into the charts. Let's talk about Solana charts here, T-Shroom. We told our trading community yesterday, if you guys want to be in this, we're making some pretty killer calls here. What is it? What is yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday because it was on our Thursday live trading. We said that an expectation to be pulling back here towards 162 was in the cards. Today, we did make it down to about 163.71. We're bouncing, but we're going to show you the Bitcoin chart here in just a couple of minutes. You'll understand why the whole market probably is not finished with its pullback. So that's something to be aware of right now. Daily chart is showing some slippage here on Solana. And to be fair, 162 might end up not being the lowest it goes. It's just our mark that we're watching to say, hey, let's see what the charts are looking like at 162. I'll show you why here in a second, but take a look at our oscillators. The RSI heading back down towards that 50, and that itself is not that bad. I actually really like when the RSI returns to the 50. It could be a strong level of support. What I don't like is the MACD that just crossed bearish. It just crossed bearish today on the daily chart. Last time this happened back here early October. Remember what happened in early October? Everything dipped pretty severely. People thought that October was going to be bearish. I'm not saying, again, that we're going to go crazy, but you did see a significant pullback on Solana the last time we got a daily MACD bearish cross. That's happening here again. You had yourself yesterday started a sell signal here on Solana. Red reversal, bearish momentum, negative money flow. To see the significance of that, let's pull up and see where our smart trail is coming in at. All right, that smart trail right now starting to flatten out down here at 158. So while we've marked 162, and I'm going to show you some other reasons 162 is important, right now there's signals on this daily chart suggesting Solana should be pulling down south of 160, back down towards 158, and potentially as low as 150. Let's check in on some other indicators here for Solana. You're going to see that this zone is a very strong level of support. This is where our 162 is coming from. It's the top level of liquidity here for Solana, meaning a lot of buy signals. Bullish breaker block is in this camp. It's a fat zone, right? It could stop at 162. It could come all the way down here to 154 and still defend this very bullish support level. But that's kind of what we're watching right now with these sell signals. I'm going to kind of put a crossover here and say my updated thoughts, T-Shroom. 157, 158 is going to be an interesting zone to look at for a pullback here on Solana. After that happens, though, again, the longer time frame still extremely bullish here. You zoom out. I tell people this all the time. Or you freak out, zoom out. And when you zoom out on Solana, it's hard to not still be extremely bullish here. You can see here we've had a trend line that we rejected on the other day. If I mimic this, it's going to be a pretty close example of what we would call a falling channel, or when you have an explosive new move attached to a channel like that, you might go ahead and call this sucker a bull flag. Well, this bull flag, if it plays out to its full fruition, would bring the price all the way up here above some of our price predictions. So this is explosive, but all the way up here to 144. We have a Solana price prediction for this time next year coming in around $1,100. So that is something that's very, very bullish on the onslaught. Maybe we don't hit all the way to this level, but coming up here, we're still going to be seeing a lot of explosiveness. Conservatively, if you don't want to go with the explosive bull flag pattern, you still look at the conservative movement here and say, all right, well, what's the opening of this formation? Let's move that opening to a potential breakout spot. This still suggests $310 as a target to keep an eye on for a breakout on Solana. Now, that's the top. Just there might be some resistance and a small sell-off when we reach that area right above $300. Keep an eye on that. Before we transition, we got a super chat here from John saying, had about 4,000 Solana and converted about 30% to SUI and currently in profit $32,000. Okay, I mean, I'm not doing to do that math very quickly, but I'm glad you're in profit there. That's really good. Should I keep SUI or convert back to Solana? Keep it there, John. I mean, unless you have dry powder to invest in both of them. As I just said before, I don't want people to be in the spot where they're saying, oh, I have to either hold Solana or SUI. The wisest way to handle that is to have a good amount of both. Again, I'd have to sit down and do the math. I'm not the type of guy that just math like that off the top of my head. You had 4,000 Solana, 30% of that. I mean, we're talking about it's going to be 1,200 Solana is what you sold. But again, there's so much math to do there. Leave it there. Don't convert it back into it. SUI's got a nice chunk of change ahead of it coming. So does Solana. Keep yourself diversified and then take profits later.
30% of 4,000 is 1,200. 1,200.
1,200, and then but there's other details in there. How many SUI is that? You know, we had to do the math on what Solana was at the time and all this other stuff. Yeah. So we'll stay out of the logistics there. If you do want, I'll tell you this, because I just had this type of conversation with somebody last night. One of the benefits of our membership packages, our Ultimates package, you do get to sit down with either myself or T-Shroom or the best of us, really our portfolio expert, Crux of Crypto. You guys see him in chat. If you have questions about what your portfolio should look like, and look at your level, just, you know, I mean, you got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. Joining that to get some feedback on a wise portfolio according to your risk tolerance and your goals and your current portfolio, that is a massive benefit of joining our Ultimates package. Check out the link down below if you're interested. But shout out to you, John. Good looking portfolio. Keep it in both. Skillful Noob said, nah, Tim, you got to work on that mental math, bud. You guys want to watch me work on it live? I feel like that's really boring YouTube TV, but, you know, I'll try to become, you know, I had a friend in high school that was autistic who was like that guy. He would do like 6 seconds or less. He could give you the answer to multiplications when you did like a 6-digit number times another 6-digit number. He was Rain Man is what he was. And I'm not that way. Okay. My tism leans a different direction.
Yes. We are having fun today, firing at all cylinders. Could there be some more movement for XRP? Let's get into this headline here. 21 shares officially files for a spot XRP ETF. This one is from today. Could be very bullish for XRP. That, if I do say so myself, does need a bit of a boost. Tim, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, this is kind of par for the course. Solana and XRP are both leading the pack in the question of who would get the next ETF. But what are the charts saying about this headline? Is the markets taking this seriously and allocating?
Before we go to the charts, you know that meme, T-Shroom, where it's like it's like a long line and it's like people lining up to buy Bitcoin at 70,000, and then it's like no line. It's like people lining up to buy Bitcoin at 25,000, right?
Yep.
I saw a meme today that on the internet after we saw this breakout that I thought was pretty funny, and it was just both of them were empty lines, and it says XRP before an ETF, XRP after an ETF, and it had nobody in line. So the charts, I say that story, and I'm not trying to poop on XRP. I have a small XRP bag. I still believe XRP is going to do something in this bull market. But go to my chart here, T-Shroom. the meme is not far off. XRP is not doing jack diddly squat. It's continuing to maintain its position down here below a significant level of resistance here at 56. The constriction continues, though. This is a longer time frame. I could even go to the weekly chart to give you a healthier picture of this. We have been in a symmetrical triangle pattern with XRP holders since back here March of 2020, right? So at a certain point, this is going to break. The chances of it fulfilling its breakout to the downside pretty slim, right? That would send the price of XRP down to 4 cents. Some of you are going to say, no, Tim, that's extremely realistic. I think it's not, but, I get the joke. A bullish breakout, mind you, though, as we're sitting on support at the moment, would send price up over $7.90. A little higher than what I think is going to happen. I do believe we just put out this last week or yesterday an XRP price prediction video. This $7.79 is even higher than where I have XRP going if we get a super cycle. Now, could a ETF change the game? I have XRP being like a number 9 coin. That's where I get my predictions for it. But if it does kind of start to climb, get up to number 7, get up to number 8, or number 6 or so, yeah, maybe $7.75, maybe even $10 back on the table. But to me, I don't think this is going to necessarily go crazy here, T-Shroom. XRP is clearly not going to get the same level of support that people thought it would, say, a year ago. That being said, I still think there's institutional adoption that's going to be coming into it. I still think there's remnants of an XRP community. So my overall point here is not saying XRP has to be in your portfolio. It absolutely does not. In fact, there's a lot of other coins I would suggest having in your portfolio before XRP. But if the thought is, man, if I hold XRP in my portfolio, I'm going to lose it and I'm not going to gain anything, that's a wrong take as well. I still think that XRP has some moves to the upside. But let's check in here and see what's kind of going on. I already mentioned we're bouncing currently off of a rising level of support, a very long-term rising level of support. And you really only have until January before XRP needs to declare what it wants to do. It's either going to do that move, like I said, massively to the downside, or it's going to make that move dramatically to the upside. I do believe once we get a weekly close and a weekly candle both opening and closing above this red line, that is probably going to be a very bullish catalyst that does send XRP up above $1 for the first time since way back here. Last time we were above $1 was way back at the all-time highs where everything else was all-time high back in December of 2021. Let's take a look at some resistance support that's kind of in the camp right now. You do see some bullish support levels, not only just from the blue line, but also from our Lux Agro indicators. We are showing that this is kind of a liquidity grab. We're on a bullish breaker block. We have take profits up here, again, north of 80 cents to $1.10 with our smart trail up there as well. Do we have a buy signal coming in here? Let's check out what our oscillators are like. We don't. We don't have a buy signal on our oscillators here, but maybe one flashes here very, very soon. That's a longer-term perspective. Let's take a look at the daily chart, what the next couple of weeks look like. On that front, we are rejecting on a bearish breaker block. Need to get up here above 53 cents to kind of unlock that. Nothing special happening on the charts right here, though, T-Shroom. Again, the MACD's boring. RSI can't get back above the 50. As soon as we get any type of positive momentum going on our oscillator, that's not a buy signal because we got no green reversal, but the money flow is now just flattened out. XRP is kind of in a zone right here where it just needs to get a spark. The RSI needs to get above the 50. The MACD needs to get a bullish cross, and we need to see that money flow firmly go positive before we feel confident about XRP. I'm not entering any trade here whatsoever. But next major level of resistance, keep an eye back up at 58 cents, even if we do start to get a run on XRP.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's tough. It has been tough to be bullish on XRP, to be a fan, to be in the community. Look, I want the best for the community because they've stuck it out for so long. But the charts don't lie, right? If there was a lot to be bullish about with XRP, you have to assume that people would be buying the coin and the markets would reflect that. Now, you can look at the tokenomics. You can make an argument. Well, they are buying the coin, but the tokenomics aren't letting the price go up. Blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, there's a lot of competitors to XRP, and especially when you look at names like Chainlink and others that are kind of taking market share for being that banker coin in a sense. I just don't see a huge clear path for XRP to raving success that we've seen historically.
Last thing I'll say to you, Sherman, then we'll move into Bitcoin. I see people in chat even saying, Danny Dime says, will like and share for Bitcoin analysis. Well, Danny is coming here in just a second. I want to give the same defense to XRP that I'm going to give to any other altcoin right now that maybe is underperforming what people were hoping for. It's not alt season. Alt season probably does not come until late December or early January, right? So I'm not out on XRP. There's not a lot to be excited about right now, but it's not the right time to be excited. This season is really all about Bitcoin. If you just want to look at explosive charts, if you just want to talk about return on investment, this is Bitcoin season. You have a couple altcoins going up and down and being volatile, but the best investment at the moment in the crypto space is Bitcoin. We have another month of that, and then we should see Ethereum, and I think there's an argument to say maybe Solana joins that pack of then we see them start to take off. You get your top coin going, then you get your kind of, I'm not going to say middle of the pack because they're still top, but top altcoins going, and then true alt season starts. That's what we'll see more explosiveness, even more in the meme world, the real asset world, the AI world, XRP world, the bankers coin world. You got to be patient still. That doesn't mean go put your life savings in XRP. That doesn't mean it's going to change your life. I still have it being modestly coming towards a $3 to $6 range, but it's just not time for that to take off just yet. But it's time to change subject. Probably a lot of you guys are saying, enough XRP until it does something. I don't want to hear about it ever again. There was news for it. Let's talk about the coin that this season's all about, Bitcoin. Starting off with the news. T-Shirt, what do you have on that front?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the most bullish news that there is this, which is if you look at the averages of what Bitcoin does month over month, I know this is a lot of colors. There's a lot of information here. I'm going to spell it out for you here. If you look at the top, you can see the different months that are present in the 12-year calendar. That should not be news to you. But if you take a look here at October, November, December, we talked about Uptober. If we come down here, these numbers here are the averages of over a period of time. So up here, these are 2024. This is 2019. This is 2013. What I'm highlighting, and then the averages of the all-time price movement per month of Bitcoin is here. And November is far and away the highest on average price gaining month. So the second is October, but November at 21.89% to the upside on average is how Bitcoin performs in October on average. 42.91% is what Bitcoin price does during November, right? And then in December, it's still positive at 5.45, but obviously that drops off into the single digits. This is very, very bullish. There's quite a bit we could talk about here. We talk about Tim's a big proponent of just trade the asset in the cycle that it exists. Don't worry about month to month. Tim, I wonder if you have that same sentiment when you see double-digit gains, 42% gains on average for November.
Go back to it. How much of it is distorted by that month back? What's that first green one? What year is that?
That is 2013.
All right, 2013.
That's a good point.
Look at those gains. 449% in 1 month.
That's pretty insane.
That's a pretty big leg up in the average there. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be fair the same way I was fair with the others, and I've been right this year. Everyone said sell in May and walk away. I said don't do it. I was right. Everyone said September is the historical month of downward action. September's going to crash us back to new lows. I said don't fall for it. September was bullish. People wondered about October. I said, listen, I don't care about October. I don't care about its name. What I care about is what is the current market position? What is the current analysis going on? I'm going to be the same way for November. I think November is going to be bullish. Don't get me wrong. I think that this trend, quote unquote, will continue. But I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that November of 2023 or 2016 or 2013. I think it has nothing to do with those time periods. It has everything to do with what's happening here and now. The only thing I'll give some credit to the fact that it's a month of November, that's different than May or September, is the only reason that people are bearish in May and September is because they say, well, more often than not, that month was bearish. There's no real reason to do it other than coincidence. In November, there's a little more than coincidence. Number one, this is another November where we're having an election. We always have an election early November. Elections have proven to be very bullish for Bitcoin.
Every 4 years.
Every 4 years, right? So you have a system of like, well, it's November in an election year. that historically is bullish. That's more than a coincidence. You also can say, guess what else happens every single November? Thanksgiving. Family. People are preparing. They're buying Christmas presents. Black Friday happens. Cyber Monday happens. We have all of this stuff that happens every single November that causes people to be spending more money. So it's not just a coincidence of saying, oh, this calendar month seems to be more bullish or more bearish. It's actually saying, no, we can look at habits of investors that spike during this time period. That's the reason why I believe historically November is good. So I wanted to make sure I'm fair to the arguments of this concept of, oh, it's this month, so the price is going to do this. I hate that analysis. I hate when people say historically this month is this, historically this month is that. Just trade the markets based off of the information that's happening at that time. That's what will bring success.
I love it. Well, Messi Leo said, if you take that away, it's 15%. So I'm not triple checking that math, but he took out that 400% number, and it brings it way down to 15%. Appreciate that. We have some passion for accurate statistics here in the Investing Bros community. Tim, strap yourself in, because this next story, for me, is a really big moment. I absolutely love this. Anthony Popliano is pointing out here that the Central Bank of Argentina opened an art exhibit yesterday that includes Bitcoin mining equipment actively mining Bitcoin. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is where it is. This is the first central bank in the world that he's aware of to be openly mining Bitcoin, and they're doing it in the lobby of a central bank. Tim, this is like the most amazing realization of Satoshi's vision for decentralized currency, is that energy that would be routed to whatever central banks do with energy, printing money, I guess, and air conditioning and running computers, is instead going to hash rate for Bitcoin. This is progress.
Yes.
This is groundbreaking. I absolutely love this.
What's the new president's name again? I always mix
Javier Milei.
This is Javier. Yeah, I mean Javier, the Argentinian Trump, some will call him. He's making some real change. Here's my bullishness. The central bank angle is cool. That is cool. What I love is just another entity. And not that Argentina is like a top 10 country, but Argentina has respect. It's a large enough country with a large enough economy that when they make a financial move, the world pays attention. So seeing them go kind of closer towards that full-blown Bitcoin move, similar to what El Salvador has done, that's just extremely bullish. We talked about this a little. I was on X Space yesterday with Gary Cardone and some other people there, and we talked about the BRICS nations a little bit and the bullishness. And the BRICS nations, and I say that not that Argentina is a BRICS nation. I don't know if that's one of the ones that wants to be or not, but I know Brazil is one of those. But my overall point here is other nations, including BRICS nations, adopting and becoming more favorable towards Bitcoin. It's going to do two things. Number one, if you're a Bitcoin holder, someone's buying Bitcoin, a powerful government entity is buying Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, that's good for you, right? So just on an individual basis, it's good for you. For Americans, I believe the more and more we see headlines like this, T-Shroom, where countries are adopting Bitcoin, we're seeing China get closer towards it. We're seeing Russia now fully doing trading and allowing mining to happen over there. That is going to force American governments, whether it's positive or not. If we have Donald Trump and he's for Bitcoin, or we have another president who's anti-Bitcoin, it's going to force American officials to have to go big on Bitcoin simply to counter the moves of these other entities, these other governments, so that America can maintain a global power of some kind. So any way you cut it up and slice it up, T-Shroom, a government entity doing something bullish for Bitcoin, it's good for you on the individual basis, and it's good for America to kind of force their hand into going pro-Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Well, we're about to get into the Bitcoin charts. We've got a couple economic data point prints we want to talk about, and just a quick fact check. Argentina, as of December of 2023, pulled out of plans to join the BRICS bloc. And we get an Al Jazeera headline as well, kind of confirming that too. Argentina announced it will not join the BRICS bloc. So pretty big, especially for those of you who care a lot about the BRICS narrative. It's a pretty significant narrative. All right, so let's get into some data prints here, Tim. The non-farm payrolls came out, and they were drastically under the forecast. 12,000 was the print. The forecast was 180,000. Consensus was 113,000, and previous was 2,000. 223,000. Excuse me. That is woefully under forecast and kind of crazy.
That is new jobs, correct? That's new jobs created.
Non-farm payrolls. I believe that's just active payrolls. So, yeah. Added. I'm sorry. Added from October.
Gotta be added, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bad. That's bad. I think that warrants right there. I didn't have this prepared. Let's take a look at the economic data on that one from a perspective of CME's predictions for interest rate cuts, because that does have a direct impact. Here we go. Go to my screen. November. This actually had dropped to about 90% here just a day or two ago, and now it's back up to 98%. So bad job data leads towards the thought of, man, is unemployment getting out of control, or is it starting to rear its head? Mm-hmm. That is going to cause them to want to cut rates even more, solidifying that here in about a week from, that's not quite a week. The 7th should be, it's usually a Wednesday. Is the 7th a Wednesday? Do they push it for some reason?
What, the decision?
Yeah, the 7th should be, because today's Friday.
The 7th is a Thursday. 7th is a Thursday. Yeah.
When was we have never seen them announce
a decision on Thursday.
On a Thursday.
Well,
they always do Wednesdays.
I mean, but there's a big event that week. In case you didn't know, there was an election. Here, really quick, there's
an election?
There's a little bit of context to this. It is the lowest job growth since December 2020, when 443,000 jobs were lost due to the impact.
In case anyone's listening, we want to make sure we're very clear here. That says 243, not 430.
Sorry, goodness. Appreciate the correction there. Of strikes. So due to the impacts of strikes at Boeing is one of the impacts here. It is also likely that employment in the industries was affected by the hurricanes, but the BLS does not quantify the net effect. So that's
interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. So, of course, it looks like there's more to the story. The stock market is actually up on the day, I believe, since the last time I checked. So it's not catastrophic, these numbers, even though it's such a big miss. It's, the market isn't selling it off, at least not today. That could change. I think that
the stock market also is bouncing a little bit because it had such a terrible day yesterday. Right. I mean, actually, I was reading lots of reports. Yesterday was an historically bad day for the stock market and different assets classes. You're not just talking about this size of a blue candle. It dropped from the previous day at this is the QQQ, by the way, 496. It dropped all the way down to 484. If you were to go, let's say, to the S&P 500, it dropped from 5,800 all the way back down to 5,700, which is, in the world of crypto, doesn't seem like a lot. In the world of the stock market, that's pretty disastrous. One day you saw it crash 1.8%. That's pretty significant movement for one day in the stock market. Yep. So we're getting a bounce back simply because yesterday was a blood in the streets day for a lot of stock investors. Mm-hmm. People bought the dip. I don't think necessarily it's saying like, oh, this information that came out about job numbers was a positive sign for the stock market. Has a lot more to do with yesterday was so bad. It's very easy to buy up that dip and spike prices back up.
Yeah, so let's get this second data point here, Tim, because unemployment rate actually beat expectations. It came in at 4.1% was the print, and the forecast was 4.2. Now, it met the previous and it met the consensus, so you get the waters muddied a little bit. But overall here, it's a bad day for labor, but the unemployment rate kind of gives a little bit of stability to the Fed to make the argument, we're not going to actually do the 50 basis point cuts. Mm-hmm. But that's what, look, make no buts about it. We care about people. We want people to have jobs. We want people to have good paying jobs. However, when it comes down to it, these data prints are when they're bad news, it's oftentimes good news for asset holders. Why? Because when it's bad news, when it comes to on the labor side and staying the same news, from an inflation standpoint, that equals rate cuts, right? Bringing the federal funds rate and interest rate down, and that increases the velocity of money. It makes money cheaper, makes the flow of money faster, and that usually translates into higher asset prices like Microsoft, Amazon, ExxonMobil, all the way down to Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. So that's why we cover these important statistics. So that's the unemployment rate. That's the non-farm payroll. Obviously, next week is an extremely big week. We'll have the U.S. elections as well as the the Fed rate decision. So very interesting week next week. But I think it's time, Tim, to take a look at Bitcoin charts.
When was the last time it was 40 minutes into the show before we even looked at the Bitcoin chart? That's absolutely crazy. Let's do it here. If you came for Bitcoin, we are here for you. A couple of days ago, we talked about when we were peaking up here towards 73,600, we talked about a pullback back down to $70,000. In fact, we even entered in our community, we entered a short there. Ended up playing out very, very beautifully. But then here yesterday, we told you guys, hey, this is going to be a stopping point. And sure enough, we saw a bounce from the zone that bounced all the way back up to 71,600. You can see it a little better here on the 4-hour chart. We told you yesterday, hey guys, this downward move more than likely is not over. We put targets back down a little bit below $66,000. Well, sure enough, if you start to take a look at our different packages we have going on here with Luxalgo, a lot of reasons to think that this is going to be in the cards. First of all, we are getting that daily sell signal that historically, with the bearish divergence, does send the price down towards the smart trail. That still is quickly climbing here. You're also going to see across almost every time frame a major level of liquidity and order blocks, meaning levels where people want to buy or exit their short positions. It's coming in down here. Guess where? $66,000 to $65,000. They're saying on the daily chart. You're going to see it here on the 4-hour chart, a very strong support level. But it's also, when you turn off Luxalgo, as we mentioned the other day, this is a trend line that's actually very significant. There's a lot of trend lines you can look at on Bitcoin that's former resistance, now turned to support. But keep an eye on this blue line right here. It's blue now because we're looking at it as support. But with the exception of a couple wicks coming through here, we actually got several touches along this blue line. We even used it as support here just a couple of days ago back in October. That zone is going to be a very juicy one to watch for a pullback down here again. So keep your eyes focused on that. It's also, again, I've said this yesterday, but 11% move to the downside. If I can grab this tool here that tells us percentages as well. 11% move to the downside. This would make it a repeat that we've seen historically. If you go back into 2020, right there when we matched the November all-time high from way back, the December all-time high, from 2017. When we got back to all-time highs, we wrestled with it. We touched it briefly, and then we fell back. Guess what percentage? 11%. So this is even kind of an historical move that we've seen Bitcoin do before. It happens right before that breakout to brand new all-time highs. And if we see a repeat of history, like I think we could, check out what Bitcoin would do. Bitcoin would rally over 100% before it even began any type of a cool-off. Not saying for certain that's going to happen, but if it did, we're looking at almost 150K on Bitcoin before it cools off. I'm going to say it's a little hot. I think it's a very small chance that Bitcoin doesn't have a major selling event at 100K. It's the number that people have been talking about now for 6 years as what Bitcoin was going to do. I've got to imagine, T-Shroom, tell me if you disagree, that there are probably legitimately millions of people with take profit signals at 100,000,000.00. I could be wrong, but I would be I think that's a pretty good chance that that's the case.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of resistance up there, that's for sure. It's a huge psychological number for sellers, and it's also a huge psychological number for buyers, right? There's a lot of folks out there that are sitting there with cash on the sideline saying, if it gets to 100,000, I'll buy. Now, are they going to buy at 100,000? Probably not. They'll probably wait for a pullback. But yeah, so 100,000, very, very significant number, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, let's do this, T-Shroom. I know we have some other stories here as well. It is 3:43, almost 45 minutes into the show. Mm-hmm. We got to talk about the SEC rearing its ugly head again. We also got to talk about the IRS. Everyone's two favorite government entities, the IRS and the SEC. But first, let's do this because we still have to do a factoid of the day to find out, do we give money away? I'm 2 out of 4, so I'm 2-2 on the week. I got to get today's factoid correct. We also have giveaways for our members. It's the first Friday of the month, so we have one for our Ultimates members, and we have another for all of our other members. Ultimates members, we have a weekly $50 giveaway, and our all the rest of our memberships, we do once a month, $100. So giving money away today. Let's do the factoid today, find out how much money we're giving away today. We'll do our giveaways, and then we'll finish out the show with those last couple of stories.
Absolutely, Tim. All right. Well, today's Factoid of the Day is brought to you by our tax partner, Decrypted.tax. Go check them out in the link below. Tim, what did Jeff Bezos originally name the company that would later become Amazon? Is it A, Read'em, B, Cadabra, C, River Books, or D, Nile? What is the correct answer?
I really like C and D. River Books from the Amazon River, and Nile. We'll just go with another famous one. It's Cadabra or whatever. It's
Cadabra.
B. Let's go with B. B is my final answer.
Why is that?
That's what I'm going with. That's what I decided.
Yeah. All right. He's going with Cadabra with no
Read'em
reasoning.
seems too simple, and I think the river. Yeah, there we go. All right. Look at that. T-shirt. That means we're giving somebody $50 because we got 3 factoids correct. So guess what? That's today. We're giving away $200 today.
Heck yeah.
That's something.
And I just checked to make sure, Tim, because that was very suspicious how you picked that right. And I just checked to make sure you do not have access to that document. So
no. Well, again, so the first one, Read'em, seems weird. I mean, I guess it's a book company, so maybe that makes sense. But it's just too simple, right? The type of person who would name a company Amazon would not also name a company Read'em. And then the River Books and the Nile just seemed like it was trying to throw me off since the Amazon is a river. B was the most logical. Listen, I had a good – I'm not that smart of a person, T-shirt, and I had good SAT scores. It's because there's a way to study for the SAT and answer these questions. You might have been good at economics. I was good at standardized testing.
One person that I wished was a lot smarter is Gary Gensler, because we've got a headline today where he's turning a lot of heads and furrowing a lot of brows. SEC goes after another crypto firm, slaps Immutable with Wells notice, and we saw with the bubbles earlier, Immutable down 13% on the day.
Yeah.
What is a Wells notice? For those of you who don't know, it usually precedes a lawsuit. The SEC is not suing Immutable here, but what they are doing is issuing a Wells notice, which usually comes with a bunch of reasons why they might get sued. So this is the first time we've seen, not the first time, but this is pretty rare, right? Usually it's like exchanges or some sort of other type of some sort of entity that Wells notices are levied to, but this is an actual crypto project, Immutable, and it's not one that we hear too much about. So it's really curious, really strange. Tim, do you have much of a take on this? I mean, I don't know. Outside of just, to me, it shows that the SEC is not done in 2024. They're continuing. They're willing to continue their policy of regulation by enforcement.
Hashtag fire Gary Gensler.
Gotcha.
That's all I have to say about it. I feel bad for you, IMX. I don't hold any IMX. This doesn't directly affect me, but it affects the crypto industry as it's a continual war that it just reminds us, again, listen, we already know Donald Trump says if he's elected president, day one, he's firing Gary Gensler. Even though I'm not voting for her, and even though I don't think she's going to win, let's say Kamala Harris wins the presidency. Kamala, do you want to actually be who you say you're going to be? Are you going to be a good crypto president? Fire Gary Gensler. It's not even just for crypto. Fire Gary Gensler for the American people. He is a menace to society. He does not care about the American people. He cares about whoever is pulling his strings. Whatever puppet master has him, that's who he's serving. He needs to be gone. He needs to no longer be a public servant. That's all I have to say.
All right, we have a couple quick little stories here. These ones are not super exciting, but they are important. And the first one here is that IRS announces 401k contribution limits for 2025. Starting in 2025, employees can defer $23,500 into workplace plans, up from $23,000 in 2024. Okay, and then there was another one as well, which is essentially IRAs are unchanged. So IRAs are going to continue to be $7,000, as you can see here, which remains the same from 2024. 2025, you can only allocate $7,000 into your IRAs. So that again,
does that include,
nothing's.
Does the 401k detail include like your a company can match your 401k? So it's like, can you put 23K and then your your company can put another 23K in, or is it saying even after your company matches your 401k listing, it still comes out to 23?
Well, Tim, as a tax professional, no,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
I don't know, and that's not a. I just don't know, right? So, who would know is Ernest over at decrypted.tax. Check out the link below if you have curiosities similar to what Tim has. But I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate because I literally have no idea.
Another thing that if everyone thinks about a tax attorney or a tax CPA and says, oh, he's just going to handle my taxes. First of all, I fully expected this year, telling you guys about my story, I had prepared myself that I was going to owe taxes, right? I had jobs that I was being paid without the taxes being taken out. I don't know what magic Ernest did. I got back $500, and $500 is $500, right? I thought I was going to owe the government money, so that's a win right there. The other thing is, if you even need to think about the future and you're trying to strategize how you're spending money and things you can do to limit your taxes and prepare yourself better, he's also a great tax strategist. He's great at helping you understand how to handle your expenses, especially if you own a small business. If you guys are business owners, highly recommend Ernest. He's a down-to-earth crypto enthusiast who's also a tax expert, tax attorney. There's no one else better in the game than Ernest. Go check him out down below.
Yeah, heck yeah. He's awesome. And we have a bunch of videos on our channel as well. If you just type in tax on our channel search bar, you'll be able to find a couple of interviews with him where they discuss different tax things. So that's about it, Tim. There's one more thing of note. I've pulled it up a couple of times here. This is the election that is fastly approaching. Tuesday night of next week, the 5th, is when we will more than likely get our conclusion for the election. 61% of gamblers around the world think that Donald Trump will win the election next week. That's to 39% that think Harris. That's live time. That's been moving all around, though, Tim. And
it has been.
And
I was going to ask you, T-Shroom, do you have any concerns whatsoever? I'm looking it up, but so obviously that platform, Polymarket, has been slipping. Kalshi, another betting platform, has slipped a lot more. If you go to my screen here, I'll show you that one. When I was looking at this earlier, it was at 58. It's now down to 55.45. Again, we got some time here. I've been saying I thought it was going to be a lot closer than people thought. Does this concern you whatsoever, T-Shroom, seeing these betting markets start to get a little closer as we get closer and closer to Election Day?
Concern me? Yeah. I mean, things are generally trending in the direction that I didn't think was going to be, right? The other thing that's massively concerning here is that this is big breaking news, in my opinion, that Michigan has been lost. Trump has held the lead in Michigan for a while now, but a CNN poll came out today, and so the betting spread has completely flipped. So he's not only losing in Michigan now, he's also losing in Wisconsin. Again, these are betting odds. These are not polls. These are not, this is certainly not vote outcomes. This is just betting. This is essentially a bunch of gamblers all around the world placing bets on who they think will win.
Yeah.
But Wisconsin and Michigan, I think he can definitely still win without having those states. But those would have been nice, especially Michigan would have been nice. 15 electoral votes.
I'm not an expert on how to look at how these things work, but I've watched a lot of different people. I've watched a lot of people analyze the markets, and what I'm hearing now, T-Sherman, we'll just regurgitate it because I have nothing better to do. It seems like Pennsylvania holds the key. There are routes. Let's say Trump wins Pennsylvania. There's still a route for Kamala to win, but it becomes very difficult. It becomes highly unlikely. But if Harris wins, there's a route in which Trump could win, but part of it included winning Michigan. To me, I think right now, Pennsylvania is going to be that state that really has a major hand in deciding who the next president's going to be. At the moment, it looks like Trump is leading there, is what I'm seeing on that chart there. But we got a lot of time, a lot of people still voting. I think one thing I will say I'm encouraged by is we're seeing record numbers of not just votes, early votes, but we're seeing record numbers of new voters, meaning people who have never voted before. So whether that means fresh 18-year-olds or 20 to 21 who couldn't vote last election, or people who have just never voted before who have decided, no, it's the right time to vote. I think that's a win for the American people, T-Shroom, no matter who wins the election, that Americans are actually starting to wake up and vote. I mean, how long? I mean, since you and I have been alive, it's actually abysmal how many people decide that their vote just doesn't matter. They decide not to show up. And ultimately, we've always come down to like, oh, whoever wins is just going to be the person who rallies their troops better. It doesn't mean that the populace of the people actually want that president. It means they were just better at rallying their troops. I think it would be a beautiful thing to see every American who has the right to vote use that right to help forge the future of what our children's lives are going to look like. I think that's a big win for the American people, seeing record turnouts at the voting booth.
Mm-hmm. Right. I personally, I don't think I've said it yet on live stream, but my prediction is that it's going to be a landslide in favor of Trump. And I say that because of a lot of what you just said that you just touched on is the Democrats are extremely unexcited to vote for Kamala. Biden was somebody who, believe it or not, when he was running, a lot of people were kind of excited to go vote. He had spent a lot of time in Washington. He had done a lot of good things for people, and they felt like they wanted to go out and support him. Kamala is a very different, and I just don't see people getting very excited about her. I see Donald Trump on the other side, people getting extremely excited, more excited than they were, and he's also a lot more calm. People have stopped talking about this. He's a lot more calm, collected. He's more presidential, right? And I think that is going to win hearts and minds of folks who last cycle were much more of Biden fans rather than just Democrats and anti-Trump. They actually believed in Biden. I don't think that they have that vote this time around. They don't have a seasoned history, kind of like Bernie Sanders. People are excited to go vote for Bernie because he's a known entity in Washington. Kamala Harris, people don't know who she is. So anyway, but for what it's worth, I think it's going to be a landslide. I think the betting odds have reflected that. Now they're shifting. Of course they are. Volatility comes in the final hours, right? So that's what I've expected. But the betting spread held for multiple weeks and it's still extremely wide. I mean, it's narrowing, but it's still, even the one you showed, the Cal sheet, 55%. That's not narrow lead, right? But the
only thing I would say that's worrisome if you're a Trump person is that it's a trajectory. We still have 4 days left, and it's trending towards a lot more people are putting in bets that Kamala is going to win. At the end of the day, I still think we have to wait for this thing to happen. I still think it's going to be extremely close. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll transition here. We're going to do our giveaways and wrap out the show. I don't know why both parties are not just telling their candidates, hey, guys, the work's done. Let's just shut up. Let's just not talk anymore. Both campaigns have said things recently that are just kind of like, why did you say that? Like you didn't think that one through. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw even Mark Cuban, Kamala's campaign manager, I guess, had to call Mark Cuban and say, stop taking interviews on our behalf because he insulted Republican women everywhere. It's like, hey, we're still trying to turn their vote. You just called all of them stupid and lazy. And it's like, yeah, maybe both sides should just take the rest of the week off. You worked hard. Go join Gary Gensler's twin brother on the beach somewhere. We're going to vote for you guys here, and we'll find out who wins. But you guys are doing yourselves a lot of damage by continuing to talk. That being said, T-Shroom, let's wrap it out here. Get those wheels ready. We're going to have a wheel for our ultimate members and our regular members. I'm going to choose one lucky person. We're going to do a $50 giveaway for getting those factoids right. It's just one way we're giving back. Let me close my eyes. We're going to find a random name who is in chat here. Let's go with our winner is, going to drum roll. Jeremy Brooks. Jeremy Brooks, if you are in chat, you have won our $50 giveaway for our factoids. What you're going to do, Jeremy, glad to have you in here. Join our Discord, right? There's a link for it down below. It's a free Discord, so we're not, there's paid levels as well, but you join the free one. Make sure to find T-Shroom. T-Shroom, the legit name. He's going to have a red name in there because he's a staff member. Reach out to him on Discord with your information so we can get you your $50. Congratulations. T-Shroom, you got our wheels for our members here?
Yeah. All right. So we got our first one here for Investing Bros, Brolux members. In general, there's a lot of names on this list. I'm not going to read them all, but you got Joe, Mr. Universe, Opie, Sammer, Jones, RB, Mac, Fox, JV. Let's go ahead and let's spin the wheel here and see who is the big winner for this week. Oh, It's going to Opie. One of the names that I read. That's cool.
Opie. Oh, there we go. You said this is our one. This is the one for the ultimate members.
So that was for our Brolux members.
Brolux. That's the $100 one. Opie gets $100.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the
congratulations, Opie.
That's the Brolux member, and then we also have our VIP trading community wheel.
This is the Ultimates.
Yes,
Ultimates members. Yeah.
Absolutely. So here we go. We're gonna spin this wheel as well and find out who's the big winner. Here we go. Who's it gonna be? Satoru.
Satoru.
Very cool.
Congratulations again, all of you. So if you are one of our members, you're already in Discord, right? So you should know the drill. You get in there, go comment, send a DM to T-Shroom. He is going to make sure to get you your winnings. For Jeremy, congratulations again. Just join the Discord, and you should be good to go, guys. That's 4 p.m. Gonna wrap up today's show. There is a Friday Fundamentals with Crux happening right after the show in guess where? That same Discord. So even if you didn't win, even if you're not Jeremy, go join the free Discord. It's the #1 community right now in crypto. There's just so many helpful people in there. And again, there's an absolutely 100% free version. Make sure to smash the like and hit subscribe here on YouTube as well as we continue to grow, bringing you daily content about your investing or ways you can invest better in the crypto markets, in the stock market, and overall just make yourself a whole lot better as a person. For the closing thought of the day with Tim, I'm going to say this. Just keep on working. If anyone out there, if you're tired, if you're getting exhausted, if you're saying, man, Tim, I'm putting in the work. I'm looking at the charts. I'm studying the news. My portfolio, it's just not moving. And then we got that little jump the other day, and then all of a sudden it's back down now. I'm getting tired. Anything that's easy, anything that comes to you easily, it's really not worth anything. It's the things that you have to grind. It's the things you have to work hard. It's the things that cost you your blood, your sweat, your tears that actually are valuable. Do not give up right now. Continue to dig in, to learn more, even when you make a mistake. Let's say you're new to trading and you've maybe got hit in your stop loss a couple times. Do not give up. Continue to learn. Why did I make that mistake? What was I looking at? Why was my analysis off? And how can I improve it going further? It's those who strive and work that are going to yield the riches at the end of the rainbow. Guys, that's all we have for you in today's show. Love you guys. See you tomorrow, Saturday, for our show. With that said, adios.